there and welcome back to our worship podcast. I can't believe it's worship. I'm Lester Sim.
I'm Lester Ong.
And once again, this is the worship podcast for amateurs by amateurs. Today, we're not going to be talking about a topic about worship, but we are going to be talking about something that just happened recently within our worship ministry, within our church, and that is the FCC 100 choir. So this was Lester's brainchild, and I remember you telling me about this when we were in Japan last year. Was it in Japan that you actually kind of talked about it?
Yes, I think I would have been already conceptualizing it by then.
Yeah. And so it's so amazing that we were talking about it. Lester had this idea, and it has now come to pass. We have done it already, and we get the privilege now of looking back on it with fond memories, and we're able to talk about it now. So, Lester, could you explain to us how this came about? What was the source of the inspiration here, and what happened?
Yeah, well, actually, just before I do that, I think the reason that we're talking about is also that it'll help inspire our listeners to think creatively, because worship ministry is just more than doing songs on a Sunday at the beginning of the service. And it definitely does engage with our creative side a bit more. I mean, generally, most musicians and singers are creative anyway. And I think it's great for us to push ourselves. So if anything, I'm hoping that as people listen to this, they might gain inspiration. It doesn't have to be in the same way we've done it, and because every church has its own context. But for us, this is something that worked for us. And part of why we do want to talk about it is because I think the impact went, at least now, a week after we've done it, it sort of went way beyond what I sort of envisioned would happen. And I'm really grateful for that. So it's sort of good to sort of document the history of this.
Nice.
So, in answer to your question, how did this come about? So, the first thing is I'm often thinking about worship ministry and how we can push boundaries. And I've always loved the idea of choirs because of the sound it makes, but also because it kind of is more representative of the congregation than a bunch of people on stage, who appear to be great musicians and singers. And the choir, you just have a bit more flexibility there in terms of who can be on the choir.
Yeah.
And I've served in a couple of choirs before, but mostly comprised of worship team people from different parts of the church in the city. 1 year, my friend Michael Battersby had invited Alvin Slaughter, one of the gospel worship leader, to hold a conference. And he tried to put together a 500-voice choir. I think we got close to that number, but it was just an amazing thing because Alvin Slaughter sang the first song, and then the choir were all in the bleachers behind the stage, sort of concealed by a curtain. And when the first song finished, the curtain dropped, and there was just 500 people behind him. And it was just an amazing thing to be part of.
Wow.
Yeah. And I've been on another choir where Darlene Check was leading worship, and that was amazing too. So I thought it'd be nice to do something like that one day in our own church.
Very cool.
Yeah. But of course, that doesn't explain how this particular one came about. And the story goes, one of the newer guys on our worship team actually runs a community choir in his school. He told me that the biggest he's got is about 30 to 35 people. But it didn't really click in my head until one day I was watching one of his Instagram stories, and he was leading his choir in a performance of Dancing Queen.
Yeah.
I thought, that could be cool for church.
Wait, doing a choir or dancing queen?
Why not both? Just kidding. Doing the choir.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so this was over a year ago. when I saw this. And so the thought was ruminating. And one day I mustered up the courage to ask him. His name is Sinning. I said to Sinning after worship practice one day, I said, "Hey, would you like to run a choir at church, a community choir, which means it's unauditioned, anyone can join, and we just do it." And then I thought about the scale of it. I thought our congregation size is about 2,000.
Yeah.
So we thought, well, let's aim for something a bit big, but not too big.
Yeah.
So I've just picked the number 100 out of the air, and that seemed like it was a good number. And he said he'd be happy to do it, and that was the start of the journey.
Nice. So this was, you said about a year ago.
Yes.
Awesome.
So that preceded our time in Japan.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I had to work on you because a choir of that size, I thought we needed probably a main conductor, but we needed a conductor for each section as well. And so I'm not sure if I knew that you were a choir boy yourself at that time.
Yeah, I don't think many people know that. Yeah, but I am a choir boy. Spent 6 years.
I've seen the photo. Yes, and it was only distinguishable because the ears protruded.
That's right. Yeah, that was the days of my emo days with my mop up of hair. Yes. Yeah. But yeah, I love the choir too. I spent a lot of time there. A lot of fond memories. I had some great conductors, and I was excited by this because I was like, fun. So what actually happened when we actually got it going? We had signups. How long did the signups run for when we opened it?
Oh, we only announced it for 2 weeks in the church service. And to be honest, I wasn't sure that the MCs did such a great job of selling the vision.
Yeah, which is fair, because I think it's not easy to catch on to this, the vision for this brand new project, right? And so I think you made a pitch for it do you make a pitch for it when you were preaching?
Yeah, so there's for me, there's a lot of providence in this.
Yeah.
Like the whole process, the people who came alongside to be part of the choir, like including yourself and Sinning saying yes, and Jane, the other choir conductor, saying yes to it. The timing, I'll tell you a bit about the timing later on, because I didn't realize that it gelled so well with what Pastor Dan was going to preach about that Sunday as well. Yeah. So a lot of things just sort of click together, and that makes me always think, well, it must be the hand of the Lord, because it can't just be coincidence. Yeah,
that's right. So we announced it, got some signups, and I kind of remember that at the start, signups were a little slow, but then it picked up really fast, especially when we were closing in on the end of signups, right? And I think it was because like people found out that their friends were joining, and more people just wanted to join in.
Yes.
And how many people do we end up with in the end?
So on paper we had 117, and then I didn't really count everyone properly, but I think we were in the high 90s on the day itself. Yeah. But I have to say, yes, I don't think it was announced well, and providentially I happened to be preaching on one of the weeks when the announcement was made, so I chimed in at the beginning of the sermon to put another pitch in and literally challenge the congregation to put up their hands if they were going to participate. But having said that, I always felt even then that getting 100 people was going to be a tall ask. And there's certainly a great deal of nerves when you take that step of faith. You say something out there in front of everyone, we're going to have 100 people on this choir. And then you sit there and go, oh God, will this ever happen?
What happens
if we only have 20 people or 30 people?
Yeah, exactly. But thank God we met that number. And then we had 6 rehearsals. And we did 5 songs?
Yes.
5 songs, 6 rehearsals.
Over a period of 8 weeks.
Yeah, over a period of 8 weeks. And then we had... Did we count the Saturday rehearsal as part of the 6?
No, that was an extra one.
Yeah, but that was an extra one with the band. And then we did it on a regular Sunday. I don't think we actually made efforts to make that Sunday like a very different Sunday, right? It was just like a regular Sunday service.
Yeah. Because this was really a worship team project, and it wasn't part of any bigger corporate plan for that Sunday.
Yeah.
And nor did I want it to be something special, in the sense that what I really wanted for this choir was its ordinariness, for want of a better word. So there were several purposes that I was thinking of when I first had this idea. One was having 100 people come to the choir, experiencing what it's like to lead worship on stage.
Yeah.
So that would be a new experience for them. That's one thing. But then secondly, I wanted to take the time to teach about worship during each rehearsal.
Yeah.
So that when we finish this project, we send 100 people back into the congregation who really understood what the worship team was going through, and what worship was really about, and essentially to lift the watermark of worship in the church.
Yeah.
And then the next purpose I had was to create connection and a sense of intergenerational community, because in a larger church like ours, I felt that a lot of people were just sort of congregating around their own connect groups. Or if they served in a ministry, they will probably be stuck with those people as well.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of people who probably didn't belong to either things.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to create a place where they could come and meet new people, make new connections, and it'd be intergenerational. So we didn't put any limits on who could join the choir. So the youngest person was just shy of 5 years old.
Yeah.
And we had people who were in their 70s, and early on we had a person who was past his 80s as well. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. And then I think the third thing was, it was going to be, not the third thing, I'm up to the fourth thing now, was that it would be invitational. And there's a bit of, I wouldn't say controversy about this, but I did have people ask me, if the choir's leading worship, is it okay to have unchurched people in the choir? And that's for someone else to resolve, but we basically made it open to even unchurched people. So at 2 levels. One, the choir members were told that they could invite their unchurched friends to become part of the choir. And 2, if not, when they actually, quote unquote, performed on the Sunday, they ought to invite their friends and family to come and support and watch.
Yeah.
And the hope then was that people would encounter the presence of God in a context where they might otherwise not visit the church.
Right. Do we know if the unsaved choir members actually stayed on to be part of the 90 plus people on stage?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I actually wonder if we have their side of the story.
Not that I'm aware of, but it'd be good to find out.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Cool. Yeah. So for your information, if you're listening, so Lester said that he took some time during the rehearsal to teach, and that looked like about 10 to 15 minutes every single session. He always started with a teaching, and then we started with warm-ups and dived into the rehearsal itself. So that's roughly how we did it. It wasn't like a very long teaching. It was just a 10 to 15 minute teaching, and spend more time on the music. Yeah.
And another providential aspect of that was the things that I was teaching coincided with the release of the stuff that we were producing on our podcast. So
was it intentional?
No.
Okay.
I only have a small body of teaching that I recycle over and over again. But we decided to release the podcast. The last series before this podcast episode was about the Hebrew words for praise.
Yeah.
And of course, critically, when you're teaching about worship, particularly from a platform perspective to people who aren't that exposed to worship in the church, we wanted to tell them what worship was, but then to teach them about the various expressions. So as the podcast dropped, I could actually link them to the choir and say, I only had 10 minutes, but you can listen to a bit more here. And so everything was just lining up really like providentially.
Yeah. I thought that was really convenient because then it gave that teaser for those who might not have the attention span, especially since we did it at night. Like, people were tired, right? If they didn't have the attention span there and then in that moment to like listen for 30 minutes, they could still learn something. But then if they want to go deeper, there was that option of a podcast that we talked about those words at length. Yeah, so I thought that was really convenient and provided that option for people, which was great. Yeah,
and a lot of other teachings as well I linked to the choir during our time together, so they'd be resourced to dig deeper into worship and their understanding of it if they chose to do that.
Yeah, nice. Awesome. So that's basically what happened. And we actually Lester pulled together some testimonies from the participants of the choir. And we are going to read out to you the testimonies, just so you can hear their side of the story and their experience. Yeah, we do have a few to get through, but they're all very uplifting and very encouraging. So hopefully you enjoy listening to them and you're edified as well. All right. So could you kick us off with the first one?
Now, actually, before we do that, I'll quickly say something about what I mentioned about the providence of this. And this will help you understand some of the testimonies, because Pastor Dan was preaching on Psalm 132. That's right. And his message was, what is worship?
Yeah.
And one of the things you got to understand about our church is that we often get into expository series. And so you don't get to choose what topic you preach about on a Sunday. So literally we're doing the Psalms of Ascent, and we're just going through them book by book sequentially, and it landed on this one. And so Pastor Dan started saying he wanted to do certain things. And part of my initial thought was, why do you want to do anything? Because you're making it more complicated for us. Like, he wanted the choir to come and sing at the end. And I had to say, well, do you know how long it takes for 100 people to walk off stage and walk back on stage? And there's kids in there. As I said, there's like 5-year-olds. And so I just had this thought about how messy everything would be. But, amazingly, his message talked about generations worshiping together. And that was exactly what the choir was about.
That was the picture that people got to. Like, you could see the generations, like, in the choir.
And so I finally understood why he was thinking that way, because I guess from his perspective, providentially, God had given him a living, moving illustration of a sermon that obviously took us a year to organize. But there it was, ready for him. And so, it was just amazing how all the pieces interlocked together.
Yeah. Very cool. I had nothing else to say. I thought I had something else to say, but let's get to the testimonies. First one, sir.
All right, so this one is from Joya, and she said that it was such a joy to be part of the 100 choir because it gave her the experience of what it was like to worship God in heaven for all eternity. And she says, could this be what heaven is like? There's no one-man show in this choir, but God who takes center stage. Everyone had to lay down their own agendas, their likes and dislikes, pride and doubts, in order to worship God the way we did on Sunday. It must be the work of God who brought all of us together and gave us this common desire to worship him. And then she obviously thanks the people who are involved. And then she says, even the Tuesday evening lectures were crucial in setting our minds and hearts right before choir practice. It helps us to understand why we were doing what we were doing. We were not there on a Tuesday night just for another choir practice. The choir has given her the opportunity to step onto sacred ground and the privilege to glorify God with everyone's voices. Yeah.
So good. We have one from Maricel. She said that she was a worship leader in her church since she was 10. 3 years ago, all of a sudden, she decided to be... Actually, I'll read from her perspective. So 3 years ago, all of a sudden, I decided to be just a church attendee, just sitting in a corner. But I thank God for using the choir because it revived me. It reminded me that every talent that I have is not mine, but comes from the Lord and must be used to glorify his name. So thank you once again for this open door, and may God continue to use all of us. And even for the organizers, God, use your life to awaken, revive those people whose spiritual lives might be starting to get dry.
Yeah, I think there was certainly a sense of that. The excitement, I don't feel that anyone in that choir came out feeling dry.
Yeah.
Shirley says, I'm still in awe of what happened on Sunday, FCC Choir 100. I can't stop thinking about it. I still can't believe how powerfully this choir has impacted lives. Since we sang on the Sunday, the lyrics have stayed with me, lingering in my ears and my thoughts, even in my dreams. On the Monday morning, as I opened my eyes, the words, my rock, my shelter, my very own, were the first things I heard in my heart.
Nice. We have Steve, who said, what an amazing experience journeying with so many people with a heart for worship, many of whom took the step to be brave and courageous in trying something they had not done before. That surely was a testimony to God's greatness, and it was humbling to be a part of that. He also went on, he went on to say how he had goosebumps when we were in the green room singing right before, I think it was before one of the rehearsals. 100 voices in unison and harmony swelling to the roof and beyond. Wow. This experience has revived an interest in music dormant for some time, but this time to glorify God. Looking forward to the next chapter of our worship journey.
And that reference there was to something Pastor Dan shared during his message about how researchers have said that goosebumps are a physiological reaction when you actually
experience something bigger than yourself.
Yeah.
Something like that, right?
Yeah. I'll read one from Cherin. And Cherin says, for me, the 100 choir started as something that a few of us from the Connect group decided to experience together. Tuesday nights quickly became my favorite time of the week because I would arrive home after every choir session with my heart full, soul satisfied, and mouth singing his praises. My daily commute became worship sessions as I sang along to the choir songs in my car. Leading praise and worship together in the Sunday services brought a multi-generational sense of belonging, unity, and community among us as God moved in a tremendous way. His presence was so thick it was almost palpable. And best of all, to return to the marketplace the following day, and she shared the link to her friends at work. So to return to the marketplace the following day and hear the reaction from my patients who had witnessed the choir, how it blessed, impacted, and uplifted them.
Nice.
Filled me with faith, knowing that God used this little that we did to touch lives and leave his impression. All glory to God.
Wow. Praise God.
Yeah.
Praise God. From Joyce, I thank God for the beautiful experience worshiping in a choir together, and thankful for everyone involved, from ideation to planning, participation, and support, from backstage as well. God is so amazing and works in wonderful ways. May God continue to bless everyone who contributed, and as you worship Him, that may you always use it to glorify His name and inspire His people.
And Sharon says, and Sharon's our admin coordinator in the worship ministry.
Yeah.
And just for context, her husband is our music director, who actually arranged the music really ably on this particular choir session.
Yeah. He was actually a part of our planning process as well.
Yes. Yeah. So providentially, because his near 5-year-old son was in the choir, he came every Tuesday night.
Yeah. I feel like that's the word for today's episode, providentially.
Yeah.
We said that so many times. A lot of things worked out.
I just want to emphasize it. Yeah. And so he was observing as he was crafting the music in his head and communicating with the band. And he did ask for a free hand in the musical arrangement. So I said, go for it.
Yeah.
Actually, even then, the musicianship on this service was a bit higher level than normal. So the musos put a lot of effort into some of the riffs and variations to the way they played the songs, which I thought was really, really good. And so, again, it was pushing the boundaries of how we normally play, which was great.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll get back to what Sharon says. So she says, this was our 5-year-old son Jedi's first time joining the choir, and it was sure a proud moment for us watching him take part in leading the congregation in worship. He thoroughly enjoyed and looked forward to all the practices and sessions, even making sure that he practiced all the harmonies and parts with us at home. And I know this because Jedi's actually memorized everything. It's just incredible. Wow. And he can't even read. Yeah. So, and then Shannon says, we were amazed at how well Jedi patiently sat through all the sessions. And on the choir Sunday itself, it was an especially proud moment for his dad, as this was the first time they served together on stage, and Dad was on the band playing bass and music directing. It was a truly proud moment for us and a big milestone in his and our life. Yeah, so it's just amazing. Like, this intergenerational thing really warms my heart, actually, and a few of these stories really brought tears to my eyes.
Yeah. With Esther, who said it was pure awesomeness being one in Christ. Worshipping together has been faith strengthening, and Sunday was emotionally moving. Yes, those goosebumps told me we were all part of someone and something much bigger than ourselves. All glory to the King of Kings. She's also thankful for the curriculum that was put together, and she said it added a rich dimension to the experience. Much appreciated the effort put into that. I've learned so much. Thank you. Yeah.
YMA says, a big thank you to the worship team in putting this together. God's presence was thick throughout the two services. I believe God synchronized our voices together with the heavens, as even during the morning run through, we were still singing in our own octaves. So it was definitely God's hand in all of it. Yeah. I'm truly blessed. Our CG, our family, we're blessed that we're not performing, but we're worshiping God in unison.
Let's see. We do have a couple more. Let me get there. Oh, with May.
Yeah.
May said, and this is for context, her husband serves with us as one of our vocalists.
One of the longest serving vocalists on the team, actually.
Yeah. And they have 2 kids, and so she actually talks about that here. She said she's blessed beyond measure to have been part of the FCC's inaugural choir 100, thanks to the vision of Lester Ong and the patient direction of Sinung and the hard work of many, many more. You have truly made a mark on my life. This is the first quote-unquote thing I've done by myself after having my 2 babies. I struggled with the harmonies, struggled with the arrangements, struggled with the words, but boy, I had so much fun. I have 100% more respect for my husband and the rest of our worship team who do this week in and week out. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to learn something new, put more names to faces in this beautiful community, and tell the next generation the praiseworthy deeds of the Lord, His power, and the wonders He has done. Yeah, May has been, I think the fact that May was part of the choir was a great source of comfort and joy for my wife, because my wife would always look out for me and sit beside her and sing together with her.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, so May was a huge blessing to my wife as well.
Yeah. And I really love that aspect of it, that community connection. Like, people were really looking out for each other, like giving each other song lyrics, sort of coaching laterally.
Yeah.
How do I sing this again? And then they take each other to one corner and just basically teach each other. I used to arrive very early because the church wouldn't open the doors for me. So I had to make sure I was there to open the doors before people arrived. And there was I remember one time we were quickly sort of wolfing down our dinner, and a few early comers had come and sat around the table. And I don't like to eat chicken wing because it's just messy, but the dish I had taken away was a fried rice with a chicken wing on top, which I was duly going to discard. But a mother and child member of our choir had arrived, and they sat on an adjacent table, and we just invited them to come and sit with us and eat the chicken wing. So it was really nice. I got to meet them, and they just moved down near to the church or another suburb further away, and so the church was a fairly new community for them. And even though that purpose to be there, being part of the choir was a great chance for us to interact and get to know them better. And it was those sort of small moments that I really, really cherished.
Very nice. My wife and my daughter were part of this choir as well. I was singing in the choir as well. So my daughter's the 4-year-old, and it was really encouraging. Not encouraging. There's definitely a better word than that. But it was. I don't even want to say it was a proud moment for us.
Yeah, just say it. It was a proud moment.
Nah, because it doesn't really describe how I feel. But I think it was very heartwarming. I guess heartwarming to have this opportunity to have 3 of us, and of course my son's still too young, but to have the 3 of us worshiping together. And I think usually when I'm serving on the worship team, my wife always has to bear the brunt of taking care of the kids, and it's almost like, I think to her, to an extent, she sees that worship on stage is like less the thing, but I think it was so good that she was included in that through this choir. We were also worried whether or not our 4-year-old daughter would be able to sit through the sessions that we did. And I remember in the car, we always prep and go like, "Hey, do you remember what you have to do when Uncle Lester's talking? You're not meant to be talking, okay? He's teaching." And after that, when Uncle Sun is conducting, what do? She'd say like, I know, I have to sing. And after we're like, okay, fine. Let's just see whether or not you end up being cranky. Because it stretched on into the night, right? So I think we're just like, we're not sure whether or not she can stick with it. And even on the day itself, we just weren't sure whether or not, you could practice all you want, but all of a sudden, like when you're faced with like 1,000 people staring on at you, like it could be different. But she stuck through with it. And looking back on the live stream, like I think my wife and I, we were very encouraged to see that she wasn't overly consumed with the singing, but she was also trying her best to worship, whatever worship means to her right now at this young age, right? So of course we've taught her some forms of worship, like you can lift your hands and whatnot, like you can clap and whatnot, and she did that. Of course, she doesn't really understand it yet, but we're just encouraged to see that she was able to do that, to let loose. So she was definitely very excited about it. And after that, I think she asked us if we were going to have the choir again the week after. So it certainly made an impact on her and on my family. Yeah, I remember coming back home at times, and my wife would tell me, "Hey, can you practice with me my part?" Yeah, so even just being in that space where we could practice worship through music together, that was something new. Yeah, something nice for us. Yeah.
Yeah, and there were a lot of people on the choir, like we've shared a few stories there, but there were a lot of people who are parents and child or parents and children together in this choir.
Yeah.
So truly multi-generational in that sense. And even after the choir finished, we're getting videos of kids like singing songs to sleep.
Oh yeah.
Videos of kids who were sort of imitating singing and just conducting and warming the choir up.
Yeah.
Which I just thought was hilarious.
Yeah. We had I think my wife showed me someone from the congregation had posted a story of the choir singing, and said something like this picture, because you could evidently see Jedi and my daughter, so you could see like two really young kids there. And she said like, this is the picture that I want for my family. And I was just like, wow, like it encouraged us as a family to be a part of it, but to know that this inspires and encourages other families out there go like, I want this for my family. Not that we want to be on stage, but that we want our generations to be worshiping the same God, same Lord. And I just like, wow, incredible.
Yeah, I think I read that post as well from one of the choir members that said, now that I've participated in this choir, I feel that my husband and I are very comfortable about bringing our child into this world, because a faith community like that is awaiting. So I don't know how many times, maybe it was the adrenaline and the crazy tiredness, but literally on that Sunday afternoon, just reading through all these things, seeing the posts that people are posting, the text messages that were coming through, I was moved to tears several times. But maybe I was tired. I don't know.
My wife sent a video. Not sure if she probably should be doing this, but she was driving, and I think something was going on in the car, and she just flicked on the front video. But it was a video of her singing "And the Angels Cry," and my son joined in as well. And my son's like not even 2 yet, together with my daughter, and both of them went holy. And so they basically did the entire chorus. I was like, wow, incredible. So I think beyond just blessing us as participants and all the other participants, I think the wider body within our church was blessed too. Yeah. So good on you for sticking through with it and bringing this idea into fruition and into something that really happened.
And thanks for being part of it, reviving your choir boy days.
I loved my choir boy days. Those were good times. The last 2 years were good times. The first 4 years were but it was a good opportunity. And I think now the question that lingers is, how often will we do it? Because I do think that the crowd in the congregation, they want it because they were blessed by it. The participants want it too. And it's more, I guess, how often will we then do it? Have you thought about this?
Sining's got to recover from his trauma. I mean, I say that partially true, but jokingly as well, because I think he put a lot of heart and soul into preparing every week, and to the extent that I think it gave him quite a bit of anxiety getting ready for it, and so. I am really grateful for his, saying yes to this idea. Grateful to Jane as well, and the other choir directors, and to Addie for doing the music. But as to when we would embark on this again, well, we'll have to see. I need to recover too. And we're going to Japan as well, so I've got that on my mind.
Yeah, that's right. We are headed to Japan again this year, and we're going to be doing some worship teachings there. Yeah.
And we'll probably bring you some podcasts from Japan, so you can get
that's
some
gonna be
sense.
fun.
Yeah,
That's when we did our Bible study, and maybe we'll get to do that. Who knows?
yeah. But I think we're hoping that you get a sense of what the church in Japan is looking like, and maybe inspire some of our listeners to take a trip there. A mission trip, sorry.
Yeah, mission trip.
Because it's great to go on a holiday, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but
the mission trip will give you a different dimension.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Is there anything else that you want to add on about the choir? Or some takeaways, or why you see that as being such a blessing? I don't think we foresaw how much this could bless the hearts of people. We knew it was going to be good, but I think this definitely superseded our expectation. Yeah. Any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, reflecting on it, and again, you've mentioned this, but for me, providential is the word, because sometimes we really stretch ourselves taking steps of faith, and sometimes we do things that are safe and don't really cause us to stretch, and then our lives sort of move along incrementally.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes taking steps of faith is a good thing, because then you really see the hand of God in a very spectacular way.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is, it's not like lame began to walk and blind eyes were open spectacular, or dead were raised spectacular, but in a spiritual sense it was spectacular. Just hearing about the impact. And so when we take steps of faith, we stretch a bit, God really does show up.
Yeah.
So that's a lesson that I'm learning through this process. But the other thing, as I've kind of hinted at, is that picture of what this choir is as a representation of the church.
Yeah.
And so the idea there that anybody can be part of it, it's first and foremost about community. It's not even about how great we sound, although I think we sounded reasonably good. My wife actually told me that part of why I can pitch visions like this is because I don't really care about, or I can't really discern the musical excellence and the technicalities, so I just wildly go about doing things without really counting the costs, so to speak. Because I don't understand all this stuff about the musicality. I just think, yep, this sounds like it'll work. It'll be a good idea, and all the other people around me are trying to fix it. And the simplicity of that picture of the church, and like what Pastor Dan had shared from that song "Holy Forever," 1,000 generations falling down in worship to sing the song of ages to the Lamb, and all who've gone before us, and all who are redeemed. The other way around.
All who will believe.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Yeah.
We'll sing the song of ages to the Lamb. So you see this multi-generation together in worship, and that's just a beautiful picture of what the church should be like.
Yeah. I think for me, definitely not the most important thing, but in a concrete way, it was nice to break down the barrier of just the stage. I think it's very easy for a member of the congregation to go, well, to draw the line and go, well, those are the quote unquote worshippers, right? And we are just like the regular people. But I think it was good to break down that mindset to go, there is not much difference. We are regular people too. So they got to see how we rehearse. They got to see in that sense why we sound good. It's because we put in work. It's not because we're highly skilled, even though yes, we do have skilled musicians, but we're just regular people. We do make mistakes in our rehearsals as well. And I think just recognizing that worship, like what you said, it's for everyone. I think that was a very important thing that I took away from it. And I'm pretty sure those people who had never imagined that they'd be on stage by a long shot, just stepping up, being a part of that body to lead the crowd, would have done something for them, their mindset as to what worship is. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I say, we send 100 people back in the congregation with a greater appreciation.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. It was good. It was good. Yeah. Tiring, but good.
Yes. Yeah, man, I'm grateful since we are talking here, and we'll send this to the choir members. Yeah, I'm really grateful for each and every one of you for saying yes and putting your heart and soul into it every single week over that 8-week period, rehearsing, listening to the tracks, refining, and then boldly stepping onto stage and really expressing your worship to God. So thank you for being part of this.
And beyond that also, like, apart from just focusing on the music, the fact that you guys brought your that heart to look out for one another. Like when you said that you could see people just kind of looking out for each other, helping each other out with like lyrics and stuff like that, the harmonies and whatnot. Like you could see that community going on, and so people weren't just there for themselves. And yeah, so thank you for doing that, and for just recognizing that we're doing this as a body of Christ. Definitely a huge blessing to see that going on. Yeah. So we appreciate you, and we hope that this is not just something that's going to be about the hype, even though yes, there's a great deal of adrenaline and hype associated with this, but hopefully it lasts throughout and changes our mindset as to what worship is and what it isn't. And hopefully Lester's teachings also would impact you in the long run. Yeah. Otherwise, we thank you for listening in. If this has blessed you in some way, we do encourage you to share this with someone. We also would hope that you would let us know in the comments, just so we are also encouraged ourselves. We do know that people are listening to this, and we would love to hear how this is a blessing to you. So otherwise, follow, like, subscribe, and we will see you on the next one.
See you next time.